Okay, so my incubator got broken in the break-in in December. So I'm modifying this cooler into a new one. Because it's actually even thicker styrofoam, so I'm really not upset. But this is the heater and the fan part, so I just cut it out of the top so I don't have to mess around with remounting it. So there's styrofoam all over my floor now. Like this knife. It's a little frost cutlery knife. I freaking love this thing. It's so nice. But yeah, and then I'll show you what the next is. Because I'm basically gonna cut a line here to match about right here. I'm gonna draw that in, so I'll toss that up here for like a picture in a second. And then right about here to hold this edge. And those are just gonna be inset on these pieces, and then I'm about to cut this out. So let's see how that comes out for the next step. Got those bits marked in. Okay, so I haven't encountered a small problem because that's flush there. There's no knife tip coming through on this side. So we're just gonna upgrade to the big guns. Nice bone handle, I freaking love this knife. I always cut the long sides first so the short sides sort of brace it a little bit. Now if you don't actually have a bigger knife to use, what you can do is take this maybe halfway down the blade you're actually using. Or however much further you think will actually get you to the other end. Cut it like that all the way across here. Then you can see here, and I moved this just so I can show this part. You cut it at an angle to meet where you had just cut there. Be very careful not to cut deeper into here. And you can just pop this bit out. And now, this knife. Do we still say knives on YouTube? Is this just a cutting instrument? I'm pretty sure YouTube's cool about that. Okay. Hold up, let me try to actually set this properly real quick. How do you have it? Okay, so then you very carefully, you want to angle it just very slightly while you're cutting away so it doesn't cut into the styrofoam here with the handle. But then you see, you are cutting all the way through without risking damaging the styrofoam. Ignore the blinds down there. That got damaged also during the break-in. Love that for me. Unless you are some sort of wizard, you are not going to cut this flush. I will show how to shape that up here in a minute if you are worried about it. But really don't worry about it too horribly much if it's not. I mean, you can see how fried this bit is right here and some of the other spots. But like I said, easy fix. It's a nice easy fix. So what we're going to do now is take this cut and I'm going to go down on with how thick this is, probably about 3/4 of the way here, and just cut directly inwards. Oops, shoot. And just cut directly inwards right here. Well, I mean, from this side to where I'm about to cut down right here, so it's inset. So it'll actually hold the incubator instead of just like letting it fall through like the piece I just cut out did, because that would kind of be counterproductive and suck. You can actually do the same trick here as you were doing before if you are worried about making larger cuts all the way through. I already have here cut and here cut to a shorter depth, and you can take in from a corner here, and you can dig at it like this instead of cutting it if you are worried about cutting too far. And you just pull it off piece by piece, and you just keep taking chunks. Whoop, shoot, sorry. And then you just keep taking chunks off of it until it's where you want it to be. And then after you get that first corner cut in, you can not even have to worry about cutting up against the wall. You can just cut it out little bitty chunks like this until it's where you want it to. It all depends on how comfortable you are with your cutting skills. This part in particular is very, very critical before you start cutting on the other side. I usually just use my knife blade. You're going to want to set it anything including a tape measure if you want to actually like adult at it some, I guess. Make sure you do not use one of your corners right now unless they're cut perfectly flush where they're supposed to be. I'd like to do that during the cleanup part and making it look prettier. So I do this in the middle, which you will also want to do if your corners aren't like freaking shiny already. Just you can actually get an accurate depth on it so you can keep whatever you're using at a proper 90-degree angle from your top and your lid of the top of the lid here. There we go. I can totally English. Top of the lid here. So you can mark out where you're cutting on the other side before you put a blade to it. Very, very important stuff. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done this side so you can see how it comes out. It's not going to be perfectly flush. You're never going to get it perfectly smooth because it is styrofoam. So there's going to be those little dips in there just where the sides come out some. Unless you want to make it look really, really, really fancy and make yourself happy in whatever cutting tool you're using, heat it. So it'll melt through as it cuts. Would not recommend. Not fun to clean the blade after. So what I do here is I have already cleared this corner out. So it's nice and flush. There's not anything sticking in here at the bottom no more. So you just set your blade in that corner. Make sure that it is a 90-degree angle still from the lid, so it's flush at it. And if it's not actually flush and flat the way you want it, you're just going to take like, show you right here. Just very carefully insert your blade so that it's flush the way you want it. And then you were just going to, regardless of where you do it, you're just going to angle the blade like you would while you're shaving. And I know someone's going to be, oh, ho, ho, that means this instruction's more for women because of how much they shave. Like, dude, you are literally just outing yourself as either not being able to grow a beard or never having learned to maintain it. And either way, have fun with that. But yeah, just very, very slowly. You want to keep the blade flush at the level wherever the side actually is, where you want to have your deepest cuts at, and just slowly work your way very slowly across. I'm not actually cutting it right now because I am super going to use my other hand to hold it still while I do this. But I'll show you how well the whole thing clears up here in a second. Okay, so this is about as cleaned up as I would like to have mine. If you look right here, you can see using a non-serrated blade, because I just used the very tip of it just to show this, it can come out a bit cleaner. But even then, you're going to have some spots where it's just going to have to be dipped in because styrofoam do be like that. But yeah, after you get this to this point, just set your lid back on. And then take your heater and fan. I need to clean this up too. Take your heater and fan and you just set it down in there. Set it down in there. There you go. Okay, so I need to take a little bit more out right there. Don't ever force it in. Just take a little bit more off if you need to. And if there are any holes or gaps on the sides, which I know this will relax down more and probably just have one right here, really don't even worry about it. You can tape over it or something if you want to, but the eggs need ventilation anyways, so you're going to have to add those holes. Oh, and I forgot to mention, but you can buy these kits. I'll put it in text at the beginning of the video, I guess. But you can buy a kit like this with the fan and the heater. It's all one piece. You can buy these just as a self-contained unit too, like just on its own. From pretty much anywhere. So now I'm just gonna put in the ventilation holes. I'm gonna do 3 on each side here. I'm just gonna use pencil at an upward angle, so it makes the ventilation holes up in diagonally. You want to do this from the bottom and not from the top because I'm mainly doing this myself to keep dust out of it. So you don't have to. You can poke it straight through. I just don't personally like to. But I'm going to put 3 on this side, 3 on the other side, and then I actually had cut this not quite flush on purpose to leave some ventilation here. If you do have gaps here on accident and you just don't want to have that as some ventilation too, just tape over it or something. So here's what I was saying with the pencil, just to show that more clearly, I guess. This is about the angle it's at. I usually try to go for like a 45. Here it is sticking up out of the other side. Which brings us to the most important step that comes after this one, which is cleanup. Reminder to any minors or people with roommates especially, don't leave this stuff on the floor. Suck it up and sweep this crap. And then you want to clean your incubator too and wipe this. I would definitely suggest using a wet cloth. Styrofoam sticks to itself really bad half the time. So definitely make sure you take a damp cloth, wipe that out, and then you're good to go. I will show how to set this up in the next video. So make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever. I forget what it's called here on YouTube.